All right, good morning, traders. Welcome to the Bookmap's All Markets webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap, and we're going to go through order flow using Bookmap and how to read it and integrate it within your trading plan, and that will give you edge. General disclosure, all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so let's jump in here and see what's going on in the markets. You can see that we had some data here. The market has looked favorably upon, and look at that volatility. For those of you, we've talked about in the last several webinars about understanding market moves and just understanding the binary move behind it, how these markets work. Just for example, let's just zoom in here. Understanding any of these moves in here, just one tick move. It is the aggressor here that moves the market. The green dots and the red dots, these are market buy and market sell orders, but it is a context here between market structure and previous transactions in here. What is value considered by other players, and then also who's taking the other side of the trade. That is the liquidity you see in the heat map here, and it is this context that gives you the answers to what's going on in here. Well, and here's the answer to this one. You know, there's an event, and then look at all this buying. Okay, it happened so quickly. We're down at, like, 150 milliseconds here, and someone's just buying right after the number comes out, as you can see, and actually a little bit later, to be honest. The number actually comes out here. Well, I guess it came out a little bit later. It must have. And then we see the buying that comes in. Okay, this is what moves the market. Okay, the market went higher, and then look at this area in here. Okay, for a while, there's no transactions, not one. Best offers are. I'm sorry, I've got it wrong. We see this kind of update here that took a little bit, and then once that update was finished, then we're getting buyers and sellers back into the market here. So this is kind of a unique one, actually. You can see how the bid and the offer are inverted in here. So after this buying in here, we see like a bit of a pause in here. So if any of you were trading that, you would have experienced this. And then it was actually a kind of an odd event, to be honest. Looks like about 4 seconds that there's nothing going on in here, not one transaction. Then the markets update, and you see this big sell here, and then you see it resume again. Okay, note how there's pulled liquidity across the board here. There's just they stay in the book down here at this kind of 56 and 55 area, and then up here they're staying in the book as well, and that's what we're seeing. So then the update occurs 4 seconds later, and then trading resumes again. Okay, so anyway, that's what happened here. And this volatility in here, well, this is kind of a rare event, to be honest, but to see this kind of pause in here, which is really kind of odd. Anyway, the volatility occurs when there's a lack of liquidity, and this is showing it, okay, very clearly. Right, so this is how the markets move, and we talked about this and extrapolating that into bigger moves over the last several webinars, so that you can understand these markets from first principles on up. Okay, this understanding will help you on all time frames. Okay, we can zoom out and look at what's going on in here. Okay, well, we're trending slightly down. See it kind of start to, looks like it reverses in here. We continue on down. We retest this low here, and look at the buyers come in here. Okay, that stands out. This is what's moving the market. So the same concept that we looked at on that sub-second level is right here. These guys, oops, hold on. These guys move the market. Sellers came right back in after. Okay, but did they really move the market a whole lot? No. You know, you see the big red dots in here, but they did not come back down to here. Okay, so we can see this kind of back and forth. We see buyers, sellers, and then we see the quick move to the upside. Okay, so buyers remain in control, and this is what's moving the market. It's as simple as that until we see something else, right? So that move is exactly the same as if we zoom in here and look at this move in here. Okay, we can even look at a fractal of these moves. These buyers in here move the market higher. More buyers in here, they move the market higher. Look for this liquidity to transact. Look at the buyers come in. This is not, you're not going to find this in trading books. You're not going to find this in other education because no one talks about it. They don't talk about market mechanics. No one goes over these kinds of details in here. Maybe they're starting to now, but I can show you our learning center. If you go to bookmap.com, we've been going over this education for a long time. So let's just go to the more button here and go to the learning center from bookmap.com. It is the market mechanics course in here. So if you haven't seen it, I would recommend it. Part 1, go through it and understand things like what moves the market here, like this in here. Okay, we go through this in diagram form so that you can understand that. Once you understand this, like I said, you can extrapolate that to much higher time frames. Okay, look at the sellers come pouring in now. This is where the buyers took control of the market. Sellers have now tested that below it. Okay, so now if sellers are going to continue to dominate in here, I'm just looking for a pullback to here, and let's see if we get more sellers. Okay, and we see the book in here, more on the offer, more supply, and if we do, then and we get sellers start to roll in here, we're looking for them to trade to 68 and maybe 65 and on down. Okay, but it's here that we're looking for it. Right, and I don't see it yet. Now there's a little bit here, but not quite out of the woods yet. Okay, so looking for maybe a retest back down here, our sellers, and then the move down to 68. There we go. All right, sellers, let's see if you can do it now. How's that order book look there? There's a bit here on the offer. Let's get a bit more selling right here, and they should be able to move it down to 68. And beyond. Well, buyers counter here. Sellers come right back in. Okay, sellers, now you got it. You got these guys on the hook. They should be stopped out into 68. Interesting action in here. The bid is showing a little more action here at a higher level here. Sellers got to trade through that now. So we're kind of in an odd zone, actually, to be honest. Yeah, this is where that fundamental event took place. Okay, now this guy pulled, and we got our sellers again. Be able to hit it now. Okay, and again, like it doesn't matter about. I want to make a point here about this. We're not trying to call the market. We're trying to read this behavior and then understand where it might go next, because that's what you can do with order flow. Okay, if you start to understand these moves in here, who's in control in these areas in here, then we can look for these moves to start to unfold. Okay, so this is still in play now. Like it's getting a little worrisome because I didn't see a whole lot of selling down here. I don't see a whole lot of buying up here either, but if we do get buyers in here, then I'm looking for the opposite scenario at that point. Okay, because we're not getting our sellers down in this area in here. Okay, now we're starting to. All right, so they should be able to hit it here still looking for it. I'm just worried about these buyers coming and whipping it back up here. Lots of buying here, and then the short squeeze is on to the upside. All right, so we're kind of losing some of that edge in here. We're missing that in here. So yeah, it was looking pretty good in here. This bid in here was not so nice, but then it exhausted here. There was no buyers here. That's when the sellers had it, but they didn't hit it here. This is where we need to see them at this point, and they didn't show up. The buyers still didn't show up here, so we're still not, not quite sure yet. If there were buyers in here, then we would look for that move higher. Now we're getting our buyers up here, and now we're actually looking for buyers to squeeze the sellers, and I'm looking for them to trade up into 73 and maybe 74 up here. Okay, so let's see if we can get them right up here now. Look, now we're kind of shifting this whole plan in here. It was looking pretty good. Now we're looking for the squeeze and the buyers, and let's see it. Nothing. Okay, there's some exhaustion. Oh, no, not getting it. Okay. All right, so we got our sellers back in below that buying. Yeah, this is a harder read in here for sure. Trying to read who's in control in this area in here. Okay, the clarity was here to begin with, looking for the next move, and we got this back and forth in here. We have a very low volume node right here, but and that's where this move, you can see the structure in here. At this 68 here, where it kind of broke out a little bit below that 67, basically outside of this range here. Anyway, the point is, like, by understanding the behavior in here, we look for the follow through. Okay, we don't know. We're sitting on the train backwards, basically. We don't know where we're really headed. The only thing that we know that can guide us is the liquidity in the future, or what's ahead of us here. We can look for areas of that liquidity to test and to trade. The rest, though, is market structure and volume within that structure. Okay? And we have the historical context here with the liquidity. Okay, so we can see what kind of now it's pretty easy, but it was some back and forth in here. I really thought that we'd get the squeeze actually here at this point to the upside. We had sellers right back down again, and then the buyers came back in, and then we got the squeeze to the upside. All right, so yeah, that was a hard read and kind of a lot going on. After this point, though, this is looking still really good for that move lower. Now, based on understanding the context in here, we still look for that move to unfold. Get it wrong? Fine. We look for the next setup. But by being able to understand the behavior in here, you can start to look for these moves to unfold. Right? All right. So and then Stephen is saying in here the education. Yeah, there is nothing else like it out there. Yeah, I agree. We've had this education for years. breaking that market down into its kind of binary components and understanding what moves markets. It's not candlestick patterns, it's not indicators, it is traders. It is the order and the order. Okay, let's see here. See if there's any questions over in YouTube. No. Okay, good. All right, interesting move. Buyers coming in hand over fist now, looking for this 80 here to trade. And this is momentum move here. We see the strong move, a pullback, a kind of weak pullback. So this is our flag pattern in here. We don't have too much on the bid in here to help us, but we do see the move back up into this 78. Boy, you can't even get to 80. That, yeah, this is some back and forth stuff going on in here. Yeah, and then you can see this high liquidity that just came in here after the selling had come in. All right, well, let's take a step back in here, and we're kind of really it's been quite choppy between this high of the event here and the low, and we're chopping around within that area. The slant is still to the upside here after the event. The event move was to the upside, and these pullbacks in here are not, they haven't even come back down and retested where this event started here. So we still are bullish in this by accepting up in here. Okay, so after this event, now we can also look at the volume within this event here, and then start to understand what's happening within this area in here, and who's in control in terms of volume. And we're looking at our imbalance indicator up here, volume imbalance, and it is pretty equal here. There's a little bit more selling than buying. That's it. So we're actually not getting too much information out of this to be honest. Okay, there's buying and selling on both sides. This is a nice strong move here, and then we had the a slight pullback and then another strong move. The sellers came right back in. Okay, so we're kind of back in it again here, back in the range. Buyers look like they want to take this on here. It's a very, very high liquidity, 16, almost 1,700 contracts there. Okay, but look at that. We came one tick away from it. Yeah, we didn't look at the bigger picture yesterday. Let's actually do it today. We actually have the weekly chart over here on the left, the hourly in the center, and the 15-minute on the right. And we can glean some information here of this move up into these swings in here on the 15-minute chart. Let's take a look here on the what I wanted to show on the weekly is that we traded up into where the sellers came in. This was back in August. And this was kind of early August, actually, from this kind of high here that we see. And then we see we've reached that area. Now, we followed this move all the way up. It was a lot of fundamental data in here. After trading back down into these lows in here, the fundamental events kind of happened a little bit, after a rebound. But we had FOMC, we had non-farm, we had CPI data, and then we're still getting pretty good data. And you can see this has been moving that market higher. Let's take a look at the daily in here. This is the move I'm talking about in here. And what about today? What's happening today? So we're on that weekly. You can see we're trading up into this area here where it dropped from. So we anticipate a slowdown up at this point, maybe a bit of a pullback, maybe a consolidation period. Okay. There's a lot of trading up here and a lot of selling up here. There's going to be a lot of profit taking up here. There's going to be maybe sellers looking to reverse at this point up here. Okay, so that's very typical at these edges of these ranges. And let's take a look at the daily in here. So daily, well, you can see yesterday's price action and also today's here. It's an inside day so far. In fact, we've tested the low here. We've come right back up. Okay, so these can be very, very choppy days on inside days. Now, it's a pretty big candle here from yesterday. So there's a lot of slop in here, a lot of potential moves to highs and lows in here. So let's then jump into the hourly here and see what's going on. Okay, so on the hourly chart, also quite a bit of chop in here. This was the gap drop from yesterday, and then that action down here. That's what made up this big daily candle. And then today we just filled the gap actually here on the 15-minute chart, and on the hourly here we kind of tested the swing low down here. We're seeing buyers come in, right? At least on this hourly here. On the 15-minute chart, just taking a look at that, we traded up to here and it rejected. Okay, pretty strongly. So you know, we're looking for what is going to happen here. We're right back into this kind of cluster in here, right? So it's yeah, pretty choppy kind of action right in here, and it makes sense. Okay, we've tested the lows, we've tested the highs, we've tested the highs twice now and rejected. Okay, so let's go through a scenario though on this higher time frame in here. If we start to see buyers come back in, okay, and we're starting to come back up to these highs here around the 78 or 79, this would be the third test, and we would look for a break at that point. Okay, it's tested up here multiple times, and we'd look for a break at that point, right? So let's jump into Bookmap and let's take a look here. Okay, so yeah, we have a little bit of a structure here, and the buyers are coming back in. Yeah, don't like it right now, because this is where the sellers came in, right in here, right? This is where they dropped it, right? And that's where we're testing. So this is a pretty nice move in here. Yeah, it might continue on up into 76 here, but this has been almost an equal move in here. I'm looking for maybe a pullback, and then we can get an extension move. So right now, I'm not looking for buyers to break up above and hit that 78 and 80 level. Okay, looking for a bit of a pullback in here. This might be a good area for a pullback right here, or where the liquidity is. Okay, the liquidity is here around 70 and a quarter or 70 and a half. Trout fly. You asked about what's the best way to interpret session volume in the delta. Yeah, I mean, you can look at the delta. You can configure it here and look at delta if you want. Delta is a really interesting way of looking at it. It's buy minus sell. So this is for the session. Look at the buying up in here. Okay, look at the selling down in here. So this is where buyers can take control of the market. It's the buying up in this area in here, or we can look for the squeeze. That any buying in here they're going to feel the squeeze back down into the middle of the range in here, right? So this is, it's really a good way of looking at some of the volume here on the aggregate, the delta. Okay, I don't know if that was your question, but you talked about the delta and session volume delta. All right, let's see if these sellers can get a bit of a pullback here to that area we were talking about. Okay, maybe back down to about this 70.5. See any other questions? Your VPOC is migrating higher. It's at 73. Okay, that's a good sign. Yeah, just sorry guys, just not really seeing much right now. Like there's a couple scenarios we can go through. I would look for this where if we can bust up above this line here and we get big buying here, we can get we might get a nice move, right, back up into to 80 that we were looking for earlier in here, and it couldn't even do it. But yeah, that's one scenario in here. So if we look for that, we'd be riding off of this move in here, and else if we don't get that, we're looking for the sellers to just test back down to here to begin with, and this 70.5 level, and it's due to this kind of like area here, basically. Yeah, and that's kind of what's unfolding at the moment. Stephen, I'm gonna challenge you on the VPOC, and yeah, I mean there's something I really like that about the point of control is well, first off, it's basically an average, and it's showing value, or it's not really. We're assuming it's showing value, but it is what it is showing is transactions, and it means that a lot of transactions are taking place, or the most transactions are taking place within a certain area, okay, over time, and that's good. That gives us insight that we know there's a lot of trading activity there. Okay, so and we can learn a lot from that and understand context in that. There's a lot more though to take a look at. So for example, let's see this. Maybe we'll get our move in here. See, this is that our second scenario in here was getting our buyers up here. So it looks like they're coming in. And now we really need to see them pull away here. This is just a pullback to this most traded level here. Okay, so if we're going to break here, it's got to be really significant buy volume, okay, to pull this away from this kind of most traded level here. So what will help on that? Well, what will help a lot is trapped sellers in certain areas here. So and I don't see a whole lot, and there's some in here perhaps, but not a whole lot right now. Right, so you can see we're kind of just going back and forth. Okay. Well, my challenge is about well, you can use your VPOC, but look at your ranges around your VPOC. Okay, like we looked at this range in here, and why? Because there's certain order flow elements in here that we wanted to take a look at. Right, this large liquidity, this transaction here. This is where the buyers came in over here. So we dipped below it, and we found the buyers back up above it, though. Right. So and then we had this really nice return back up to a little bit above where they sold, and then it's just kind of hacking around in here right now. Okay, so we can now what we want to do, or what the challenge is to start to understand um, the market structure here with kind of a within the volume point of control here, right? So the market structure is well, you can see that we had some swings in here. This is the potential trap volume below that swing that moved the market potentially higher here. Okay, so now we're looking for another one of those kinds of where we can identify the sellers and then where buyers might be able to gain some fuel to move higher here. Okay, and I'm not seeing it. I mean, we identified a couple little areas in here. And this is why we included it in our checklist here as well. When we look at the setups checklist here and looking for kind of a continuation pattern, one of the first element here, identify trap traders and develop scenarios. That's exactly what we're doing. Okay, well, we're finding some buyers here, but right into 1600 contracts. Not quite yet, a little bit traded into it. All right, so let's just take a look at this and grade this in here. Now, it looks like it wants to break out. We're hanging out up here. It's auctioning up here. We found some buyers, but there's this really large liquidity up here, a lot of supply. We don't have anything in the order book underneath us to help us support this. Okay, so this looks like it is more of a false breakout than anything else to me. Okay, because we just don't have enough oomph here. Now we never know. Maybe we will find enough buyers in here. Okay, so that may happen. But based off of this kind of dark, empty hole here, and not a whole lot of trap sellers in here, that is less likely, and huge liquidity up here. Okay, now that may shift and that may change. Okay, and we'll read that in here. But right now, we're not seeing it. Therefore, we're looking for sellers to trade back down to the bottom of the range. Okay, waiting for them to come in. Now, this can shift and change in a heartbeat, right? We're seeing a pretty big cluster of selling here now, right? We can go through that scenario now that perhaps those guys are trapped and we are going to get our buyers here. Okay? And the buyers are going to be able to trade into and through that high liquidity. Okay, it's pretty good now. This is much better relative to this selling in here. Okay, well, we're getting selling at the bottom edge again though. Okay, so sellers should be able to retest these lows here, or these swings down here. Yeah, we were going through that scenario of a potential breakout at this point, and we just didn't get any buyers. Not enough. Boy, hard read. I mean, we dipped below this little area here and we found some more sellers, and the buyers brought it right back up again. So yeah, just staying put for right now, and not seeing something fantastic at the moment. Get back to some questions. Yeah, we can take a quick look at Tesla. I don't have Tesla. All right, we found our buyers. Look at that. Okay, they took that on and traded into it and through it. Okay, I like I said, I still don't like it. I think we're probably going to get a retest right back down to here, and then also maybe back down to back in the range here, a point of control. I mean, this transaction took place here. Look at the buying back up above it. It's just not that much. Yeah. Again, what we're looking for is the pulling away from this area here on high volume, and this is it. It may do it, but I'm not tempted. I'm not seeing it. You should look at liquidity as something to trade to. You can and can't. You tulips. It's both. Yeah, that's where the supply and the demand is. But what matters mostly is if the buyers are interested in trading to that liquidity or not. Okay, so if there is a demand by buyers to trade to this level here at 80, for example, okay, and yeah, there was enough in here, okay, on pretty low volume in here, and was able to do that. Okay? And again, these are not the easiest reads in here. We have the some liquidity in the book in here, that kind of pressured those buyers, kind of wind at their back, for example. Okay, so this is how to read liquidity. It's about the context. It's about understanding. Yes, this is where the sellers are. This is, let's see here. These are where the buyers are in here. This is where the sellers are in here. Okay. However, do people want to deal with them? That is the question. Okay, so we can zoom in here and we can look at this on a low time frame. Here's high liquidity coming in right now, right here. Do buyers want it? Yeah, it looks like they kind of do. Okay, now we're pulling away from it. There's still high liquidity here at 80 and a quarter. Yeah, they want it. All right, so yeah, there's still buying pressure, and looking for 81. to transact, and then let's see if we can get to 82 as well. So look at this high liquidity that came in, very aggressive high liquidity on the offer, and buyers took them on. They right there at 80 and a quarter. So now if we auction here again with buyers, they should be able to trade this higher then. Okay, 81, 82. Okay, because they're still buying. They want this liquidity. Okay, so there's 81. Now let's see, they're still buying up here, so we should be able to get to 82 now. Okay, it's this context that we continually want to understand. There they go again. Okay, so just a bit more in here. Now we're probably going to get a test. You'll see traders test this all the time in here. Okay, that there'll be high liquidity on the offer, and then what's the relationship? Okay, is there weakness in the market at that point? And if there is, then you'll see the sellers trade it right back down to these levels. Okay, so all of a sudden this is sold off. This has been a really challenging day. We traded into here, and I still don't see a whole lot in the order book in here. Some liquidity came in on the offer in here, and they are pulling on the bid in these areas in here. Okay, so we found some sellers being able to drive it right back down to this liquidity here. Okay, so this was our target earlier. Okay, and our context was that we didn't find buyers interested at a certain point. Hard read. I mean, I don't see sellers really interested until about here, to be honest, that we're able to reach back down to this lower level here. Yeah, it was about 16 plus in here. We can hover over it. Now, let me zoom in. 1677. I mean, you know, it's changing back and forth a little bit, but almost 1700. Okay, now look, here's our context. Now looks like buyers are back again and looking like they want to trade to this 82 now. Okay, so we've dipped all the way back down here. They're still buying pressure, right? So looking for them. Okay, so here's on the bid here, on the offer up in here at 81. We're going to judge this in here. Looks like we're still auctioning, so we're still looking for buyers to trade with these sellers at 81 and then 82. Okay, see the buying pressure mounting. And now we never know this, right? Like we're looking for this to unfold up to here. Okay, it can change in a heartbeat. We've seen it when many times a larger seller will come in and just hit the bid hard, and they have a lot to sell, and they sold it. They moved that market lower. Okay, so that's the one thing. Like, you know, we can look for these areas in here and look at this context, but something can shift and change immediately. Okay, and then how do we handle that? It has to be done through risk management. Okay, so you know, you can look at this market and say, well, it should do this, it should do that, but you need to protect yourself. Okay, here we go again. It's auctioning back up here again on the buy side. I'm still searching for or looking for this liquidity up here to trade. And now we're finding some sellers at the bottom edge here. Okay, and buyers rotate it back up. All right, buyers, let's see it. 82. Here they go. This should work here. Again, it's not a trade recommendation, but we're back up here, and we didn't find buyers. And that's what we need to find. Okay, so let's see if we get another rotation now. uh, Trading game. Oh boy, look at that. Buyers just come in. And that's pretty strong buying, kind of out of the blue. So we got to 82, looking for actually 84 now. Nice strong momentum, big stop run as well. But we had a little bit of a shallow pullback. We're still though seeing buyers come in. So yeah, I'm looking for 84 next stop. Okay, strong buying again. So we're going to go off of this momentum in here, and we're seeing that buying coming back in again. Therefore, we're looking for it to move up to 84. We talked a lot about this over the last several sessions about understanding the context in here in the price structure, and then looking for continuation of them. Okay. We see the selling coming in, in this kind of gaming these little areas in here. Okay, here's some selling here and here, but still this is much more a buying. And now we're getting some selling. All right, and it's retraced all the way back down to where it broke out from. Boy, tough day. Tough reads, tough day. All right, still looking for. I still like this idea of the buyer still being in control. We can get back up above the selling in here, and then we're to 84. Okay, this would be our trap volume. They go. And you got it, buyers. Let's see it. Let's see if we can go higher than 84. I mean, we do have 88 and 90. let's step back here again. We'll take a look at Tesla in a minute. All right, so this is, we're kind of struggling to break out here on this 15-minute chart, but it's doing it. And let's just kind of judge it in here. How does it look? Okay, in the bigger picture in here. This looks really good here. They finally took on that liquidity and traded through it. But all of this in here, it's a bit more buying than selling, but it's pretty muted in here. I mean, there is more buying, no question. Still like this selling in here being squeezed. We're above them, so they can be squeezed now. Now, Stephen, you can take a look at maybe some of your mean reversion type of activity here. POC down here at 774, or maybe this big, huge transaction here at 76, right? So looking for, if we do get our sellers starting to come in, right? Let's look at some potential structural breaks in here, right? So it would be, we can put kind of a diagonal line in here, right? And if we get our sellers to come in here and really hit this hard and break break our diagonal trend here, then yeah, we have some, you know, nice moves here to the downside potentially. Okay, so what we're talking about in here is this move back up here and then falling back down into the range in here from all of this activity. Well, one thing we saw, and that did play out, was we saw these two wicks here, and it was kind of a red candle when we were looking at that and said, okay, now if we can get back up in here and we start to see those buyers, the third attempt in here, we can get the breakout. Okay, so we were looking for that in the order flow, and it was this in here. It's just like, boy, you know, it may happen. It looks like it kind of wants to, but it's just, we don't have all the pieces in here. I don't see a strong bid underneath. And then it did break out. And then it was this volume in here. No, this was not enough for me. This is just too weak. And could fall back down here very easily and then back into the range. So look at it now. Here is looking great for the breakout. More buyers still up here. And there's 84, and immediately sellers come in, or 84, 85. So Paul, you think that you're going to see a big move to the downside. See, this is, if you do think that, well, that's fine. But do you have evidence to support that? So that's the question. Is this available for the Indian market? Yeah, it is. You can go to bookmap.com and look it up, and you'll see, or just do a search for Bookmap India. JB, does Bookmap offer any sort of New York Stock Exchange tick data or meter? We do connect to DXFeed as well as hold on a minute, I'll show you here. Okay, connectivity here from bookmap.com, and then Omni feed here for stocks, as well as DX feed for stocks, which is right here. Okay, so and you can get both of these from bookmap.com, I believe. I know you can DX feed, but there's another place you can go as well, which is our Bookmap marketplace. We can go to that, and then in here you can do a search for Omni feed. I don't know if it's in here or not. I believe no, it's from bookmap.com is where you can also pick it up. Okay, still breakout continues here, so still we have no reason to think that it's going to shift or change, and we're still seeing more buying in here. We're seeing some pretty nice momentum starting to build in here. Every time we say that, though, we see our sellers come in, and it's been really back and forth in those little areas here. So yeah, I'm kind of waiting, watching, being very careful in here. If we had a really strong bid in here, it would look a lot better, and we don't. So we get this kind of trading channel here, and then pullbacks. Now, what's good about this is we can look at some other confluences and add-ons in here in Bookmap that can be very helpful. Got our market pulse here. We've been demoing this a lot. I just think there's a lot to this in here. And let's look at volume pressure and balance here for the ES. Stops and icebergs. Let's take off for a moment. Yeah, so we see using this market pulse tool. This is volume pressure imbalance. We're getting these kind of high reads in here, where it goes above the 70 percentile in here in this meter, and then we see that it's nicely kind of capping the top ends here, right? So that is like maybe some profit taking to consider. We've got high liquidity in here. We've got volume at an extreme up in these areas. This is what this means. Now how does that help us with pullbacks? Okay, well, we have a zero line in here, as well as just kind of gauge these pullbacks in here, and you can look at historically. Look how it came into these areas in here, and those offered pretty nice areas to get back in. Okay, so here it actually went below the 70 percentile here on this deep pullback in here, and we were looking for a continuation at that point actually, and we didn't get that. So we can go back and look at some of these areas in here, okay, as potential areas for a pullback, and splicing back into the market. But we want, this is just a confluence. It's not a trading system. Okay? But we want to look at some other things in here that gives us insight for why we would want to get back in. We have our zero line right here, and it goes below it here, actually a bit lower, about 44% in here. Okay, so here's another one right here. Okay, and zoom in here. So right in here. It's actually right here, which is no good. Okay, this one's... All right, let's see if we get one here. Okay, but I'd be looking for something into this liquidity in here on the pullback. As long as we have it auctioning up here by buy side, then we're looking for that pullback and looking for buyers to start to curl back in and lift this higher. Okay, and then dump it off at the extreme reading. Okay, at least some. Okay, this is a way that you can consider scaling in and out of your position in a trend. And it makes sense. Like you'll always see these here. We're getting our extreme reading right now. Okay, you can hear it here in Market Pulse and YouTube. You guys will be able to hear this. Okay, and there seems to be some consistency to it today. It makes sense. High liquidity, extreme volume reading, and then pull back. Basically, these are some of the use case scenarios. So here's our pullback again, and again, we should get that reading, and maybe we can hit this 86 3/4 liquidity. Okay, well, let's see it. Get our pullback maybe somewhere around in here, and there's liquidity here, so maybe 84. There's liquidity here. Yeah, there's our strong reading. That's not where we want to see it though. Okay, well, we get a strong reading back down below this range now on the sell side. Let's see, Von Dutchman, you're talking about learning about Bookmap. Yeah, well, we have that educational course. We have, some other educational materials from that learning center. That's the place to go. Understanding like, well, let's take a look in here. Like, we'll kind of shift and change a bit. We'll still look at this market pulse here. Maybe we're getting kind of shift and change in volume pressure from market pulse now. And maybe this is what Paul is looking for that move all the way back down, maybe in where it might dump back down to the 74 area here, as well as Stephen potentially. Look at all of this thin volume up in here compared to the point of control down here, right? So this could be your magnet in here and your market structure that you are gauging in here. The first stop, if that is the case, would probably be someplace around in here though, where it kind of broke out from these swings in here, or here as well, where we had that high liquidity, right? So our trend line is breaking, and it is breaking on some pretty strong sell volume at the moment. All right, so let's take a look at this. Actually, I'm looking for a pullback now by buyers up to here, okay, up to about 83.5 or so. And here we have some reasoning to go through. So this is what I wanted to cover for you, Von Dutchman, like some of the order flow analysis in here. Okay, well, we can take some very simple principles or concepts in here. Look at some of these moves in here. Okay, how big are they? How long are they? And now, what about on the sell side? Okay, well, it's getting kind of equal, right? And we don't have a whole lot of volume in here, so we're kind of looking for, a potential move like this back here now. Okay, so what we're reading in here are these moves and understanding how big they are. And then what we can do is look at high liquidity in here. Now we can also use the price change um, add-on from Market Pulse as well. That's how we've been using it actually, is looking kind of like ATR, basically, our average true range. So now we're back down here. Now that's a pretty good move by the sell side. I'm looking for a pullback now, and I'm looking for the move to be somewhat equal or somewhere around this size here. Okay, so we'll move back to somewhere around this, like 83.5 or so would look pretty good. Okay, so a lot of selling. All right, so they've come back down below the swings. We have some liquidity in here, and then let's see if we can get some buyers pull it back now. Okay, so we have our reasoning. What do we have here in the order book? Well, we have high liquidity here, and now we're looking for our buyers to come in at the top of this range in here, and then we're looking for the move back up to, 83, 83.5, something like that. And high liquidity on the offer right here, pushing it back down. Okay, so retest of the bottom of the range here. And we never got our buyers in here. Okay, stream reading on Market Pulse. Even better for now, extreme reading into high liquidity. I'm looking for that pullback still. Even stronger here. Today is just doing the opposite. Oh man, it's a rough day. We're still seeing this extreme volume coming in. Well, here's your dump, Paul. Back down to your this liquidity here, and then back to your 74 level here. Now we should get a bounce off of 74 here, or 76 here, after this large transaction in here. This is very typical. Okay, and that's been a lot of heavy selling. Buyers will come back in. Look for just a pullback to about this 79.50 level, 80. Nothing. All right. All right. All the way back to point of control. And a bit of buying, a little bit of a bounce there. Still looking for them. The move up into this 80 level looks pretty good. It's just too much selling. Look, that we got to take a break here, and then looking for buyers to just retest back up here. Sellers are in control of the move right now. Okay, but it's after such a strong sell move here, we're looking for a retracement. Boy, this one they just kept hitting the bid in here. Didn't even get this move here. We got about half of it. Let's take a look at our bigger picture and see what's going on. All right, so here's our breakout that is failing. We're back in the range here. Okay, we did go through that scenario, and we also did go through this trend line breaking up here. I thought we'd get some back and forth before, though. That's what I was looking for in here, instead of like a complete dump like this back down. Yeah, lots of selling. Even these pullbacks they're just market structure wise, they're not even coming back up to the liquidity. They're just coming back up to the swing. That's it. And we've come down, we've hit high liquidity here. It's still tremendous selling coming in. So yeah, I'm looking for buyers to trade it right back to 74 here, where it broke down from after bouncing off of point of control. Okay, it's not really the point of control that I'm so interested in here, is the swing, okay, and the selling below it. So I'm looking for buyers to come back up and test to it. Boy, this is an odd move. All right, so there's still more selling pressure, still coming in. We're not even getting a move back on some of these pullbacks in here. Let's see, we wanted to take a look at Tesla, so we'll jump over, take a quick look at Tesla. And let me get to questions over here. How do you measure the strength of the bid? So the strength of the bid, when I mention this, you tulips, is what I mean by that is it's the liquidity here. Like this is pretty strong down here, strong liquidity, right? That's what I'm measuring. Okay, and graphically and relative liquidity here compared to other areas. Okay, the heat map will show that as well. Even when you zoom out, the heat map will show that. So if I zoom in here, this area will, it will turn a darker red in here. Okay, because this will be the highest liquidity in here. Yeah, now look at them bid up here. Now this is exactly what we want to measure here. There's a strong bid. Okay, what's the context? What's the reaction to it? Well, we're starting to find it repels sellers. We're finding buyers. Okay, buyers should be able to lift it now up to 69 though. That's where the liquidity is on the offer. Okay, that would be the target. It is this context exactly here what we want to measure, right? So here we go. We have high liquidity on the bid down here. We have sellers that trade back down to it, but they bid up again. And that context and that reading in here was that we found buyers, right? So sellers aren't interested in trading into this strong bid. So we're looking for buyers to reach the other side and find the sellers over here at 69. Well, this is one of the only moves that have played out in this webinar here. But this is the context, exactly what we want to talk about, U-tulips. Does that make sense for you? And understand like how there's a cause and effect in here between the liquidity and the aggressors. Okay, the passive buyers and the aggressive buyers or sellers. So, and there's our move up into the 69 level. Okay, so this was an easier read in here when we started to see this in here. Some of these other reads were quite difficult, I thought, today. We're even looking at some of these moves in here and just like, whoa, all these sellers come in all of a sudden. Here though, we have a strong bid, right? So this, and we had a reaction in here too, even stronger bid in here. Yeah. So now it's again the context. Now it's an auction, right? It's not a math problem, and it doesn't have a direct answer. It is like it's always going to be a host of many different answers, or like a range, I should say. Right, we would look for it to trade up to here. It can come shy of it. Maybe everything changes up here. Maybe they pull that liquidity. Maybe we find more buyers and that it would go up to the next level. Or maybe like all of a sudden there's like massive liquidity on the sell side pops into the book and you find sellers. Well, then we'd look for it to trade back down here. So we're going through these scenarios in the auction, and we want to understand that the behavior in here to understand where it might go again, okay, where price might go. Yeah, and that's, you know, it's not, we're not making stuff up. It's just this is how the market works, and if we understand that, then we can look for you know, where it might go. So here high liquidity on the bid here at this higher level. Do we find sellers? No, not yet. So then we should look for buyers to try to trade it up to here, right? Even though we're at this kind of level in here, that's not good. This is where the sellers came in, right? But if the sellers aren't interested in this liquidity, okay, then we're looking for buyers to trade up into here. Okay, so they finally are in here. Well, we can see some exhaustion here, right, on that buy side. So buyers up in here, but not up here. Okay, and then sellers traded into it in this area here. Now, in this area here, okay, do we still see more? Again, context. Okay, high liquidity here, but what about above and below it? Okay, do we find more buyers back up after trading at this high liquidity, or do we find more sellers below that liquidity? Okay, the answer is not quite too clear right now. We're actually finding more sellers here, so they should be able to hit into 69. Okay, and then there's hitting even below that. Okay, so now we're back up above it, right? So it's this context at this level here at 69 what we want to understand. Okay, so is there buying above it or selling below it? Okay, well, we're getting our answer. It's a little late on this one, but we're trading it back up to the top of the range. Okay, now we might swing back down. We might find more selling down below here again. If we do, right around 68 and 3/4, we'd look for them to hit down into 76 or 67. Okay, here's high. See, this is what we want to gauge in here. These traders will tell us, their behavior will tell us, okay, we found demand in here. There, now we're looking for buyers to lift this back up into these areas here. We had high liquidity here on the offer. They transacted, they flipped to the bid. Now they're flipping again to the bid. So we're looking for buyers. Okay, let's see it, buyers. You should be able to lift it right back now to 74, which was the most traded level. We'd look for that. Look at the strong bid and look at the reaction to that strong bid here. Okay, This is that cause and effect reaction here. Okay, and understanding what makes the market move. So we can look for the moves back up into these levels here. Now 74 is a good level here because it's the most traded level. However, where's the liquidity? Well, then it can blow right through here. Who cares? It's a point of control. What matters is, what about the other areas in market structure where the sellers took control and where there is liquidity? Okay, we will find some traders in here take profits because they're just trading point of control. That's it. Okay, but this is where, like, don't cut yourself short. Maybe take some off, okay, but don't cut yourself short. It can go higher. And that's kind of what I wanted to challenge you on, Stephen, a little bit about point of control. And just understanding what it is and understanding the context around it. Right? Look, there's still a strong bid here. Okay, so just waiting for a few more buyers in here, and we can lift back up into yeah, somewhere around up in here. I'd say this 76 level. So let's see. There was another question of, I guess, a newbie in here, new to Bookmap. I wanted to also show you. I wanted to kind of cover some of the ATR structure in here, and then just blew right through it. So it kind of knocked us out of that as a lesson. But we can take a look at candlesticks in here. Most people come from looking at candlesticks, right? Well, we can do candlestick analysis in here very effectively, I feel. Like this right here looks like it should come up to, I would look for the move in this candlestick pattern here, the move right back up into this swing high at 77. Okay, here's why. Look what else we have in here that gives us such insight. Okay, we have a really strong bid, and they're bidding up again here. We have this candle here that tested the low, okay, broke down, but then came back up, and then we broke up above this, and we're seeing some volume back up above it. Okay, so we have the potential now for trading back up and testing the swing high up into here. Okay, in this candlestick pattern in here. Okay, so now what we're looking for is buyers to start to come in and do that. And now look at the bid. Our strong bid is the rug has been pulled away from us here. Okay, so it's not so strong anymore. And now we've traded back to the most traded level here, and our strong bid is kind of evaporated. Okay, so maybe we'll come back and test the top of this candle here on a pullback. Okay. It's still a bullish pattern. This candle just closed. It closed above this one. We still find buyers in here. Okay, we might get a pullback. Okay, and then here we go. Buyers back up above it, above the candle that just closed. And they're pulling on the offer. Okay, so let's see it, buyers. Let's see 76 and up to here, 77. All right, so yeah, just understanding what candlesticks are made of, what's behind it, what's inside of it, and here it's all in here in Bookmap. We have this beautiful context in here. So here's your candlestick, right? Here, let's even look at a candlestick chart here, and let's mimic it. Okay, what time frame are we looking at here? We're looking at a 5-minute candlestick chart, right? Okay, so let's look at a 5-minute candlestick chart here. All right. Well, what's in between these candles? Let's understand this. So here we went below this swing here, and then we're moving back up, and we move back up again. Do you see a strong bid in here? Is it possible we could go higher in here? Well, yeah, it is, by understanding this volume, strong bid, and bidding up in here as well. Okay, so, and we're still bullish here on this move to trade up into this liquidity here and maybe the swing high here. Okay, so now we're understanding candles in context between liquidity and volume. Okay, let me know if that helps, Von Dutchman. That, you know, a lot of us are looking at bar data over the years, many years. Okay, so now we've traded up at that 76 liquidity there. Okay, still looking for, still finding buyers. Oh, good. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, how do you trade? You know, we can get into more details if you know, give some feedback on what do you look for. Okay, we just had our peak volume up here as well. So maybe we won't get up to the swing here, but we have our reasons. We have high liquidity. We traded into it. We have extreme volume in the last, well, based off our market pulse. Okay, so not a bad place to reduce some risk. All right. Well, yeah. Hope that helped. Let me see how many contracts. Oh, okay, we answered that question. Lori, about the crypto mark or CVP. Let's see here. Well, CVP we can break down as well. I broke down into delta here. You've got all the data in here. I mean, you can, you know, configure this column here. You can look at delta for any of these, but you can also split them out by buyers and sellers. You can look at the delta. You can, I guess that's it. I mean, there's different things to take a look at in here. You got a VWAP in here for that period, this chart range period, and you can look at numbers, bars and numbers, whatever it is. So that's what it's just it's a data column in here based off of what's in my viewable chart range. So if I zoom in, my chart range is now smaller, and this showing the profile of that. Okay, so now again, look, we were looking for up to here, right? The potential move. We had our reasons, and it still might get there. I mean, we're still kind of bullish here. I mean, the candlesticks are still bullish. We're basically bouncing off a point of control, and we still may get there, but we had our reasons for potentially, you know, reducing some risk in here. We had our extreme reading and market pulse. We've noted that that's where these areas happen. We have high liquidity and on a move to the upside here. Okay, so anyway, some considerations for adding to your trading strategies. Guys, we got to go. Thanks everybody for coming. We'll see you on Friday, and we'll go into much more detail next time. I'm sorry I didn't get to Tesla. We can maybe quickly look at it here and see what's going on. Yeah, high liquidity filled on the way up in here, a bit of a pullback right now, and some buying starting to come back in. Okay, so yeah, I'd still look for buyers to try to trade it back up here. Okay, at 246, 247 or so. Anyway, that's a very quick look at Tesla. right, guys, thanks for coming, everybody, and we'll catch you on Friday. Don't forget, we have a meeting with or a webinar with uh, Crash F16. He's going to go through how he reads and views Market Pulse, how he uses it. This will be on Thursday. We changed the time, actually. Here, we'll show it on the calendar where you can find it. Go to the Learning Center again, and then scroll down to the calendar. And we changed it to this time here. Okay, this is it here. It's at 2:30 East Coast time. Okay, this calendar, though, it should show it based off of your computer clock, and you'll see it. So 2:30. All right. So we'll see you then, and then on Friday we'll connect again with the webinar. Tomorrow we have Jay Trader, a stocks trader, at 10 a.m. East Coast time, and then Scott Pulsini at 10 on Thursday. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Good trading. Be careful out there. It's been pretty choppy. All right. Bye bye.